Hello, everyone. TGI Friday. I hope everyone's having a fantastic Friday because I know that I am. It's Friday. And I'm bored. Oh, that's Daniel. I have to invite Daniel to the show. Give me 1 second. I'm late because I worked tonight, so I apologize. There we go. No one's saying anything. Oh, I gotta tag my sister. Not gonna do that. There you are. There's my sister. I apologize. I'm tired. I worked. I just got done doing a 7-hour shift, so I'm kind of like, I'm going crazy right now. So we're just waiting for Daniel Peyton to come on. He is going to come on and talk about his book, The Winter Wizard. Hello to my grandmother. A book that he wrote as part of a challenge from the other show that I did with Sherry. So, yeah. So we're just waiting for him. Hello to my other sister. I have quite a few people watching. Yeah. But I also need some jelly beans, so excuse me. Oh my goodness. There's Dan. Hold on, Dan.
Oh, are we on? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, blimey.
Mm-mm.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-mm. Is my speakers up? Yeah, there we go. My speakers are up. Hello, everyone. Wait, you guys can hear him? You guys can hear. Okay, hold on, Dan. I guess they can hear you, but I, for some reason, cannot. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can fix this. All right, go ahead and talk.
Can you hear me now?
No. Why can't I hear you? Uh-oh. You guys can hear. Okay, hold on, Dan. I guess they can hear you, but I, for some reason, cannot. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can fix this. No, I still can't hear. I don't understand what's going on here. Oh, no. Go ahead and talk.
Can you hear me now?
No. Why can't I hear you? Uh-oh. That's weird that I can't hear you. I don't understand why. I'm at a loss here, Dan. I'm not exactly sure what's happening.
Well, hi, everybody else.
But there's Dan. I'm pretty sure everyone can hear him, but me. That's very, very weird. I don't know what's going on here. There you are. I can hear you.
Oh, I've got my copy of the Winter Wizard.
Okay.
So.
All right. So, all right, everyone. I can hear him. Thank the Lord. The show is saved. So. All right, so you were planning on doing another live video because I've noticed that you've been doing live videos and explaining and talking about a certain book, or you play an instrument beforehand, and then you like read what you were reading, what a chapter of one of the books or something.
Yeah, I've been just kind of doing my own little Facebook Live thing because I have the time, so might as well do it.
Yeah,
people seem to be enjoying it. In fact, I might go on after this and do my live. It's alone, if people want. I'm trying to see if I can get more people come over here who join my live broadcast because it's not always the same people.
Right.
So.
Absolutely.
So. And I love answering questions about writing, about my books. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions about any of Dan's books or writing or anything, please ask away and we will get some answers here. So,
and I've already been on the radio this morning. I was on a radio show that's out of Los Angeles with a guy who's named Brian, of all things.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, I was when they invited me on the show, it's Brian Hammer, but when Brian said it's me and Brian, I was like, "What? That's tonight, right?" No, it's different, Brian. So I did an hour or more, actually more than an hour, this morning, doing that radio program, which was totally different. Most radio programs I do or interviews I do, it's with people who are authors. He's not. So he was asking different questions, talking about different stuff, which is kind of nice because I seem to get a lot of the same questions from people when it comes to this. So,
yeah, absolutely. So let's see. My sister, what was your favorite book to write?
Oh, geez. Honestly, I have to be very frank about this. It's this series, the Winter Wizard series. Mm-hmm. I've actually written this one, and now I have another one that's kind of a prequel. It's different characters just set in this universe called The Owl-Headed Wand, and I'm working on getting that one published. But it's just, this was so much fun writing. And I had everybody there I knew was in this story. It's my kind of silly fantasy. Plus, as I've talked about before, this book adopted a lot of the stuff from my from a couple failed book series that I had. So there were elements and stuff that I just loved in those books that where no one's ever going to get to see. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to carve them up and put it in this book. And so they got a new life here. So a lot of different reasons. But I'd say the Winter Wizard series was probably my favorite just for fun, for writing. I mean, I love everything I've written, but that was just fun.
Awesome. Kayla wants to know, do you plan on writing more books? Obviously, I would hope.
Ridiculous amount of books. Yes, actually quite a bit. I've got a lot of stuff I'm working on. And I'm also right now, since I'm the creative consultant for Heroes Rising, the game, I'm doing a lot of their stories. So I'm in the middle of writing a 6-month-long adventure story that's been progressively being published on their pages. So I'm writing books, writing that, and editing. It's just this time off everybody has is not off for me. I've been doing everything. I've been writing and art, and now I'm working with that game and organizing stuff. I've been busy like crazy with everything.
Right. Oh, let's see. Ashley wants to know, how many books have you written?
Written? That ranges into about 40 to 50 books I've written. Published, I've published around 13. So
there you go. Let's see. Kayla, where do you come up with your ideas for your books?
They come from life. there sometimes I read something or watch something, and I think about my own realm of that idea, and I come up with an idea of it all on its own. Like Earth's Last Starship, it's based on my love of Star Trek primarily, and things like Star Wars, Doctor Who, sci-fi. But instead of just telling another Star Trek story, I wrote my own universe. But the feel, the love of Star Trek is there. So, so sometimes you get there. Sometimes it's just out of the blue. I have an idea that just sparks an interest. Just life itself can give you wonderful inspiration for writing. So,
that's a good answer. I'm assuming that Ashley hasn't seen. Oh, what's that?
I'm sorry. What was that?
Oh, I'm pretty sure Ashley hasn't seen a lot of the videos, so she's asking questions that I actually know the answer to, but she doesn't. So, what is your favorite kind of writing do you like? Mystery or drama?
Ooh, I don't write either of those typically. I have dramatic elements in my stories, and I think I would lean towards, between the two of those, I'd lean more towards drama because I can do that. Mystery takes a very different type of mind. I could give it a try someday, but that's actually one of the genres I've never dabbled in is true mystery. I like it. I love mystery programs. I watch them on TV. I've read books, but to be honest, if I were to sit down and just have to write my own, I probably couldn't do it. But drama, I love elements of drama that I put into the stories, and you will see them in my stories. There's elements of dramas, even in Winter Wizard. However crazy it is, there's elements of drama in this one. So it's that one I probably would lean more toward.
How many hours a day do you spend writing?
Average, I write for 1 solid hour a day at least, depending on how a project is going or what I have to get done. Editing and formatting and working on stories, that's literally however the day goes. But I know I'm going to guarantee myself at least 1 solid hour of writing time every single day.
That's all the questions I have right now.
That's good. Those are good questions.
Yeah. So do you mind holding the book up so people can see the cover of that? Because that is the Chronicles. That's not just the Winter Wizard. It's both books in one, so people know that. And yeah, that is me on the cover of that book there. By the way,
right down here, that's Brian right there. And actually, that's me up here. I dressed up for that because I needed someone in costume to pose for the painting I was going to do, and I could do it. I had the costume.
Yep, absolutely. So, Ashley wants to know: did you always want to write books?
Yeah, I always wanted to write stories. Books, that's one thing, because you can write short stories, you can write all kinds of stuff. But ever since I was about 4th grade, I wanted to write stories. I wanted to tell stories that were longer than just a little thing. I wanted to create worlds and create characters and all that kind of stuff. That's always been a part of what I've wanted to do.
Oh, let's see. Chuck, to answer your question to me, are you and Sherry doing a show again? Who knows? It's possible. Pretty sure I'll talk to her at some point. Kayla, do you illustrate your own covers?
This one, yes, that's definitely all me. I painted both of those pictures and then put them together. But for the most part, no. My books, this one was self-published. I actually went through the whole process myself and did this one so that we could put it out there. But every other book I have, someone else has done the artwork for the cover because they're through publishers, and publishers have their own art department. I have offered my own skill and critique, my artist eye, might say, to help with those covers. But for the most part, they hire very good artists who are way more professional than I. I do it as a hobby. This is their job. So when they turn something in, I'm looking and going, wow, that's exactly what I was thinking of. And I never said anything. So they're pretty good. If I needed to sit down and do a book cover, yeah, I probably could do some of the book covers, but I let others take care of it because it's their market. So I'm let them do their own marketing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and just to reiterate, the reason for the book was because we had come up with a challenge in a previous show to challenge our authors to come up with short stories. And I think the first time was so many words or something like that. And we had I think 3 submissions at that point we had put out. So we had The Winter Wizard, we had September 9th from Sylvia Schultz, and we had something from R.E. Fisher.
Yep.
So, yeah. And then you just decided to keep going with a second part.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I liked the character so much, I wanted to go further. I wanted to give him something more, so I just kept going. And the second challenge is when Earth's Last Starship came about.
Yeah. That was a second challenge, I believe it was, to be main characters in a science fiction short story, which I thought was supposed to be a short story, which ended up being a book.
Yeah.
That's okay too. I'm not saying anything bad about that. So yeah, and that's when Earth's Last Starship was created. So, or I should say written. So That's awesome. I love that book. So.
Oh yeah, that one was fun. I enjoyed that one too. I enjoy writing all my books. It's just some are a little more you might say comfortable. Some books are strenuous.
Yeah.
In this one, because this book creates its own world. Once I left Earth and was in my own little world, I just went crazy with creation and their history and all that. In fact, I purposed myself to avoid some of the common tropes and some of the common cliches of elves and dwarves and dragons. And all. I wanted to have my own take on it that was me, not somebody else's I'm just throwing in there. So I didn't do much. On the other hand, the story I'm writing right now for the game, it's set on Earth during the Ottoman Empire. The story itself is because it covers 700 years of time. And I started in the Ottoman Empire. And to be perfectly honest, I know as much about the Ottoman Empire as your average American guy. So I had to go and research. And now I know more than I ever thought I would because I wanted to get details right. So that one's strenuous, but the outcome should be good because of that. So that's not as comfortable. That takes a lot of time outside of writing, just reading this article, reading that, history paper. I was reading stuff from universities and history departments in Egypt and Iran and other places I could look up online to get data on stuff that I didn't know about. So that's a little more brain racking. This is a lot more just sit down and enter another world and tell the story of what happened there. That's what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Let's see. Oh my Lord. Questions. So Ashley, to answer your question, yes, he created the cover of that book. So those are his drawings. Let's see. What would be your words of wisdom to new writers?
I get that kind of a question often. There's a lot of stuff you need to learn as a new author. I mean, I went through all the stumbling blocks and some stupid walls I ran into. But one of the best things I can leave any new author with is this: it is not a competition. If what you're writing, you're not in competition with other authors. You're in this together. There are way more readers and desire for books than there are authors to create them. It takes me 3 months to write a book. It'll take a reader at longest a week to read it. So I'm already behind. So I have to keep going and going and going. That means other people also need to keep going. And there's some new authors who get out there and treat it like you are in a business like McDonald's opening up a new restaurant. Your competition is Burger King, is Taco Bell, all that. You got to be better than them. You got to beat them. I'm not trying to beat any other author. I want them all to succeed because we're all in this together. So that's a really good, and it eases the mind. If you're a new author, it eases your mind to understand that because now you're not thinking, oh gosh, I have to be better than so-and-so. I need to sell more than so-and-so. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. You have to be you, and you can help them. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask them questions, get their advice, ask them to review your book, because they want to help you succeed as long as you want to help them succeed. It's hand in hand. So that's my best thing I always like to leave new authors with, is to understand that.
There you go. Let's see. When was your first book published, and what one was it?
My very first book that was published is a book called The Jolin Chronicles. It was published in 2008, right at the end of the year, by a publisher called Publish America. And it was a lousy, shady publishing company that very much preyed on new authors, did what they could to get every bit of money out of them, barely did any good for them. And in fact, what they did to me and a lot of authors, and what shut them down, was they would go to you and say, this book is so good, it doesn't need editing. You must have had this edited. Well, I did, but books need 4 and 5 editings, not 1. They convinced me otherwise. I was dumb. So I accepted that. Then the book comes out and it has mistakes in it that are glaring, awful, makes the book almost unreadable. Then come to find out they added mistakes to the book. They made it worse than what I sent them. And then when I go to them and say, this book needs really a lot of editing, what can you do? And they'll say, oh, we can edit it. That'll be another $700, please. Publishers don't charge. That editing is part of their work to make your book something that should make them money. No. They just wanted money out of me. And eventually we sued them out of business. So that book and that whole experience was very bad, but learning. I gained so much knowledge about all the wrong things that publishing can do that when I got into doing good publishing, right publishing, I knew the pitfalls and the mistakes and the stuff that you needed to avoid. So I learned from it, but it was a really awful experience. It took about 4 years of my writing life and just threw it away because I didn't trust anybody. I didn't trust any publisher, anything. And that book was just awful. I thought it had stained me from ever getting published again. I was wrong. Publishing industry understood that I got taken, and I gave them new books, like I say, Dragon Wand, Crystal Needle, Winter Wizard. I put new books out there, proved that I can do it, and now that book's behind me. So that's a hard question on me because it's one that was a bad experience.
Oh, let's see. Is it hard to get a book published, and what do you have to do to get it published?
Oh, yes, it is. I will not downplay that. Book publishing is a pain in the butt. You can go the route of finding an agent. You can go the route of finding just a publisher yourself. You can go the route of self-publishing. Those are the 3 major routes of just general publishing a novel. There's other things you can do, short stories and magazines and starting your own blogs where you're sharing stuff. That's one, more fringe stuff. But the mainstream, self-published, traditional published, finding an agent to traditional publish. So you have to have a book. That's obvious. Okay. One of the dumbest things I see, and I want to take these people by the hand and gently say, get over yourself. I don't want to be mean, but you're sitting there praising a book that you haven't even finished and asking the publishing world, what agent should I pick for my novel? You don't have a novel. Don't even ask. Don't even look. No agent's going to even talk to you. So first, have a book. Second, make it clean. Edit it yourself. Get help outside of yourself. Get it clean enough that it's readable. It doesn't have to be perfect. Publishers are going to help you get to a better book. So they're going to help you there, but make sure it's readable. Then either self-publish, as long as you edit it enough, it can go out there. But if you want to go with a publisher, you're going to have to query letter to publishers. You're going to have to go to conventions to find agents and publishers. You have to create a pitch. You have to create a tag. You have to know if you're going to do this nonfiction, you got a market platform. If it's fiction, you need to know the genre you're working in, other books that are like it. There is a huge learning curve of marketing you have to get to before you can get published. I will take credit and say I didn't do all that. I got really lucky Now, as I said, I had experience from a poor publisher that took me to the cleaners. I had experience from self-publishing, so I had some growth. When I got Dragonmon was my first actual published book by a publisher. And what I did was I actually went online. I was doing reviews exchange with people. I was promoting the book. I was asking for help, and I came across someone who was with Cosby Media Productions, and he made that connection with me. That's where you need to be. Find connections. Agents give you connections. You build them with the publishers. You get there. So I was able to get to that, and it was a smaller publisher. It is a smaller publisher. Cosby Media is not a big, giant publishing house, but it's definitely grown. They're doing a lot of good work. I trust they're going to keep doing good work. Mm-hmm. So, as I said, it's a hard process. Mm-hmm. But my first, paramount, foremost, biggest thing, finish a book. I'm not joking. I cannot count the amount of people who go on these Facebook pages or on Twitter, Instagram, and they'll ask a question in a group. Oh, do you think this agent would be good for a young adult vampire fantasy that has dragons in it? And I'm like, that sounds weird. Tell me about your book. Oh, I haven't written it yet, but I'm thinking about talking to this agent and this publishing house. I'm like, don't even think about them. Why are you telling me this? You haven't finished the book yet. That's just silly. So if you want to be published, write a book. That's got to be your first step.
All right. And if you have the book, how do you self-publish, and what goes into doing that?
Self-publishing means you've got to learn to be a publisher. And it's not as hard as it may seem. It's costly, both in money and in time. First and foremost, money and time here is you've written a book, you've edited it yourself. You might have run it through an online editor like Grammarly or I'm trying to think. There's some good ones that'll help. Pro Writing Aid is a very good source for help, but they're definitely not a replacement for a good editor. Then you find friends, colleagues, other authors who will help you beta read that book. So they can go through it and read it and go, okay, this book's good. However, you forgot that she was supposed to have red hair and she's blonde by the end of the book. Oh, fix that. Because the editor's not going to, a computer editor's not going to notice the difference between the hair color, So those people help you refine the continuity. Then you have to pay for a professional editor, someone who is going to make you mad. I mean this. Especially if it's your first book. You're going to hit back notes from them you're going to hate, but it's only going to make the book better. But you are going to spend time with them. They're going to go back and forth through several layers of editing to get the spelling, punctuation, timing, continuity, all this stuff, research. Some editors will make sure if you've put something in the book that's historically inaccurate, they're going to point it out. They're going to say, don't put this here. That wasn't even built then. Rome burned after that. They're going to get you this stuff. That's what they help you with. Mm-hmm. After all that, then you can go to self-publishing. Now, there's two different self-publishing. One I recommend, one I'm not so hot on, but it's the oldest. Vanity publishing is one I don't care for, but it's legitimate to a point. You can go to a vanity press. They will, with their services, they'll have editors, they'll have cover designers, formatters, all that great stuff, but you're going to pay upwards of tens of thousands of dollars for them to make you a good-looking book and then sell you a couple hundred copies in boxes. End of story. They're not producing it. They're not putting it out there for you. They're certainly not getting in stores. Their job, the only way they make money is by that first initial chunk of change you've given them. That's a vanity press. Your job then is to go out there and push the book. It's hard. That one is hard and expensive. However, second thing around you can do, and I think it's one of the better currently, is digital publishing. Mm-hmm. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, you can go to these places. You can publish a book on there as an ebook. They even have print book services. It's free to do this once you have a good looking book, because all you're doing is putting the book into the program, and then that program spits out an ebook. But you have to make sure the book's formatted so that it looks good. Let me show you something here. See how the words on the page are nice and balanced, and the spacing's good, and the top and bottom has space. You have to do that. And an editing an ebook program or a print book program, it doesn't know that. It doesn't know where your words are. So if you just shove a PDF file or a Word file in there, you're going to get a jumble of words smashed into a page that is unreadable. So you have to know how to format. Then you put that in there, and you click the promote the publish button, and it, after a small review period, you'll see the ebook appear on Amazon for sale, on Barnes & Noble for sale. The print book will come out, but just like the Vanity Press, if you want those print books, you'll need to pay for your own copies to come and do book signings. People can order them, print on demand. You don't have to pay for that. You'll get money for that. So that one, it's a long process. You have become the publisher. You're now finding the editor. You're finding the cover designer. You're finding the formatter. You're finding the publishing stuff. You're putting it out there. You're promoting it. It's a lot of work. You have become a publisher. It can be done. I've done it, but it takes experience and time. Good piece of advice about all this. There are a lot of people on Facebook, particularly Facebook. You find writing groups like the Phoenix Quill is one I love for just basic fantasy and science fiction. But these pages are full of authors who've been through all this. And so they give you, if you go on there and go, I'm self-publishing on Amazon, what do I do? There's people who jump on there and they'll say, okay, this is what you do. And they'll give you a lot of advice. Some even may offer their service. You pay them and they'll help you format and stuff. That's where you can make those little connections that are really helpful. So self-publishing is arduous. It just like regular publishing has a learning curve, and it can be pricey because a good editor should cost you at least $500 or more. I got lucky with some editors because they're really good friends of mine, so I was able to pay them less because we were working together and I didn't have any money at the time. But in truth, if you want a good editor to make your book look professional, they're going to cost. You find somebody online who, and they're like mommy bloggers, they're like just the homebodies who, they like to read, and they did well in English in school, so they're going to do editing from home, and they'll for $100 they'll edit your entire book. Well, that's way cheaper than the $1,000 you just saw this professional editor offer. So sure, I'll do that. You're going to get back something that's really not that good. They don't really catch. They're not trained to catch all those mistakes. And big warning, if someone says, I'm an editor because I was an English teacher. No, worst editors ever. English teachers take will take a book, will take anything and turn it into an English paper. Their editing style is very dry, very they're very technical. You're going to get back. They're all the recommendation. Now they're going to get spelling and grammar and stuff right, and they will correct stuff that a regular editor will correct as well. But they're also going to give you a whole lot of stuff that's not right because it is not how you read. We write and read books like we talk. We don't talk in complete sentences. So my speech will be incomplete sentences. And so they don't like that. Don't make your every single word they say properly complete sentences. We don't talk like that. We use slang. So I have had a lot of English teachers that have helped friends of mine edit their books, and when they get back, it looks like something you're turning into a 9th grade English class, not something you're publishing on Amazon. And so be very careful about that. So if it's the biggest thing is find a good one. If anybody's listening to this who is truly interested in finding a good editor, formatter, and all this stuff, there's a website called Reedsy, Reedsy, Reedsy. It is kind of a clearinghouse. So the people who are professional editors get on there, and they will help. They offer their services they show their prices, and what they do. And this is a good sign of a good editor is they'll take a sample of your work, like one page, and they'll edit for you, so they can see where you are and help, and so they know how much to charge, and so you can see how they edit, so you know if you want to work with them. That is you are kind of applying to them for their attention, and they're applying to you for their services. That's really professional, very good.
Sounds like a good deal to me. Yeah,
but I'm not kidding. $1,200. If you go in there, you're going to find a lot of them. 60,000 word novel, $1,200, $2,000. You're going to be laying down money, but what you're paying for is quality. You want quality. You don't go out and find a car, find a Maserati for $100. Guess what? It's not running.
Let's see here. And so far, no other. Oh wait. I know that there was a question here somewhere.
I can't see it. I'm on the regular page, so I don't see where this is.
I'm just saying all this other gibberish. Let's see. In a roundabout number, how many books do you plan on writing?
Oh, wow. As many as I can before my hands or eyes give out or my brain stops working. I love writing. I mean, I'm going to start if I'm still stuck in this house for longer, which is not impossible. I'm going to start doing daily readings or at least weekly readings on a couple fan fiction pieces I wrote for Star Trek and Star Wars. And I wrote those knowing full well I will never get those published because Star Trek and Star Wars are very, very tight about who publishes what in their actual line. Anybody who does this is just fan fiction. And to be perfectly honest, and what I've written is my own stuff, and I think it's good, but it's just fan fiction. But the point I'm making there is the fact that I used my time to write those, knowing I'm never going to publish them. I write to write. I publish because I have so much books sitting around. Somebody's got to read it, but I love to write. So there is no question. Now, ask about a series. Do I plan on doing something more? Dragon Wand, I've already written 3 more books in. I've got 4 published, 3 coming, and I highly believe that's it. Dragon Wand will end at book 7 of that series once it's done. I don't plan any more in those. But for Winter Wizard, there's open for more room in there, for more story. For Earth's Last Starship, I'm already putting together a whole collection of notes for the sequel that I'm going to write to that one. I don't know, there may be no sequel after that. I don't know. It depends on if I want to. So it's just what I want to write. It's time. I only have so much time to write.
No, absolutely. Let's see. What else do you do besides writing?
Well, I play music. If you've watched any of my live streams, I play music. In fact, I think I have an instrument. Yep, right here. I have my alto recorder right here. I do artwork. If you go onto my author page on Facebook, I've got paintings and stuff that I do there. Part of my job with Heroes Rising is I do art for their cards and their games. So it's quite a bit of my art in that game right now. I cook. I do embroidery. Yes, I've been an embroiderer since I was 5 years old. I collect rocks. I have a modestly impressive rock collection that I've done since before I was even doing embroidery. And let's see here. I'm part of the Embroiderers Guild. I'm in Sigma Alpha Iota. I'm busy. I got lots of stuff I deal with.
I'm going to put that banner up there so people know it. So there's your page on Facebook so people can follow you. So
I have, let's see here. Kayla asks, how old were you when you realized you loved writing? Honestly, I'm going to say age. I'm trying to think age. I was in 5th grade when I really realized how much I loved writing. I wrote in the 4th grade, but my teacher gave us writing time and had us write all kinds of stuff. So I did it because I was supposed to, and I enjoyed it, but it was still something I was supposed to do. But in 5th grade, now this kind of ages me here, but in 5th grade was my first true computer classes. We were learning to type on computers, and this is actually before Windows was a common thing in computers. I was still typing on an old DOS system, and we were just learning to keyboard, how to type on a keyboard. And to do so, you were to write something, anything. You could transcribe poetry, you could write up a recipe. I started writing my first book, an actual book then. It was, no joke, a Star Trek fan fiction that I wrote in 5th grade. And it was decent. I'm trying to think. It was about 30 pages. For a 5th grader, that's impressive, I'll say. I wrote it. But that was my choice. I wrote that by choice. And then I went home, and my mother was in college, and we had a computer at the house. And so I had to practice my typing. So I kept writing there, and I wrote more stories. I wanted to write stories. I just fell in love with it then. So 5th grade is really when I just fell in love with writing. Ashley asks, what is your favorite book that you wrote? That's like asking about who's your favorite child. I honestly don't have one. I love my books because they're all part of me. If someone were to come to me at a convention with how my books spread out and they only could buy one and they say, pick out your favorite and hand it to me, I probably would hand them either the Winter Wizard Chronicles or Earth's Last Starship, not because they're my favorites, but because they're standalones. And somebody wants to read a book, and I love something that I can just pick up, read, and be done with. Sometimes you want something that's book after book series, long saga, but sometimes you want just a fun single story. So that would be my go-to, would be one of those.
A fantastic answer. Okay, when you're reading something, what do you like to read?
Oh, I find myself reading more technical stuff than actual fiction because I'm researching so often. But I actually tend to I've been reading the Harry Potter series recently, just for fun. I've read last night. I started reading on an independent author's fantasy book that's kind of intertwines the Arthurian legends with some Babylonian legends. It's different. Fantasy and science fiction is really what I head towards. Which, no surprise, that's what I write. I have loads of Star Trek books I read on, but recently I've been kind of delving more into fantasy because I've read so much Star Trek my whole life. I wanted to kind of lean into the fantasy again. So,
yeah, I've read my fair share as well. So I own a lot of those books.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Kayla, what's your favorite thing to cook?
Cookies. I am an award-winning cookie maker, and I have actually invented a couple recipes of my own. I like making soups and stews. And again, invented my own stew recipes, and homemade bread and all. But if we'll sit up and make just for fun of it, it's cookies, chocolate chip cookies, peanut butter cookies, sugar cookies, spice cookies, just cookies. Which is probably why I need to lay off the cookies, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to lay off my jelly beans here. So, Brian, if you were to write a book, what would the genre be? Oh, this gets me because a friend of mine has been writing a book for the past, I don't even know, 2 years now. And I recently visited with her. I think this was maybe 2 months ago, maybe. She and I are writing a mystery, a murder mystery. That's what I guess the genre would be. So we are writing a book. I think the first maybe 2 chapters done of this book. I keep trying to tell her that she can make this a short story, but she wants to keep going and make it a full book and be done with it. So I really want people to start reading it now. It's so awesome. So yeah, if I had to write something, which I just want to finish the book for her, I really do. But anyways, a mystery. I like mystery books. So the not knowing, having to figure things out, throwing clues in there, and I think it's pretty awesome. So yeah, but
maybe you could write your own.
I'm thinking about it. I really am thinking about it. I have dabbled in writing my own science fiction. It didn't work out very well. It's in my head, like I can see. As if it was a movie I saw, I could play the movie in my head, so I know. But writing it down on paper and coming up with, alien terminology and, that sci-fi talk, I just don't have it. So I try to work around it, and it just doesn't seem the same. So, but I'm still working on it. So yeah, so I think murder mystery and science fiction is probably what I would write. Absolutely. So there's a lot of people I'd like to kill off.
Hey, I've done that more times than I want to admit. Fictionally.
Yes.
I'll clarify that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, if you want, I can read some of this, because either that or later I'm going to do my own live broadcast and do a bit of a reading. So,
what is your favorite chapter in that book?
Oh, geez. That's actually kind of hard to ask. I think...
I swear, isn't it?
There's a lot of that in there, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I honestly think it's in this book, it's when Brian and Mr. Cat really meet for the first time after they get to the land of Johann. And Sherry's been taken away, and they're talking around the fire because it's kind of a growth moment. Brian is now realizing reality. Mr. Cat is accepting that he's a bit prejudiced. It's a growth moment for them, and that I love a good scene with that, where the characters are giving the reader something to appreciate about each other, but not because of good and wonderful things, but because the characters are accepting that they've got flaws that they need to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is something we all have to do, is accept that we have to deal with the flaws that have approached us in our lives. So,
absolutely. So, if you were going to read something, which book would you read from? Winter Wizard or the second one?
I always read the very beginning, and this one has such a nice, exciting beginning that I think that's where I want to start with that, because it's a good intro to the story and gets you kind of curious of what's happening next.
Well, it's up to you. You could read some of the first chapter, or you can save it for your own video. It's up to you.
Let's see here. Well,
I got about 9 minutes left anyway, so.
Well, I'll go ahead and read from this, and I might go ahead and do my own live later, because I got some of my friends I tried to invite onto here, but I don't know if they're here. I know John Schoenfeld is here. He's someone who's a friend of mine from Heroes Rising. Hi, John.
Hello.
So I'll read the prologue, End of the Ice Age. This is from the Winter Wizard Chronicles, which, as Brian just asked, I'll clarify for those who may not know this, Winter Wizard Chronicles is actually 2 stories. It's not really 2 books, because the first story is a very short story. The second is a full-length novel. I put them together because they just kind of floated together, of course, but they are separate enough that they're 2. So that's why it's Chronicles. It's the Winter Wizard 1 and 2. This is the opening of the first one. Prologue, End of the Ice Age. An ancient wizard swung a large ice-blue staff through the air. A shockwave of blistering blue magic was sent into his enemies. A whole legion of ice fairies turned to dust. Before he could continue his attacks, a shot of white magic hit the old wizard and sent him sprawling across the icy fields. Before the next attack could hit him, he quickly thrust the end of his staff toward the next magic attack and dissolved it. He quickly got to his knees and then slammed the end of the staff against the ground. An explosion shattered the ice covering the grasses and trees near him and sent a storm of shards back at the attacking enemies. "You don't stand a chance. I'm the Lord of Winter. Ice magic won't stop me." His voice thundered across the mountains. A legion of ice golems crested a distant mountainside and raced toward him. These creatures were thick, faceless, and relentless. Fairies followed behind them, ready to take down any who survived the onslaught. "Barrier!" The wizard bellowed, and a wall of ice formed in the path of the golems. It was not enough. The golems smashed through the wall like rocks through glass. The wizard realized he wasn't going to thwart them all at once. So he began to send huge spikes of ice up from the ground, piercing golem after golem, their rock-like bodies shattering into piles of debris. Unfortunately, the fairies behind them merely formed more golems out of the remains. A true look of worry crossed his face as the horde approached. His attacks hardly diminished their numbers. Suddenly, a bright ray of sunlight broke through the heavy clouds. A strong heat met the golems and melted the first row in mere seconds. The rows behind them fell quickly, one by one. Ice fairies scattered as they screeched loudly in pain from the attack. The wizard looked up to see large beings flying down. They were carried by huge butterfly wings as orange as the morning sky. Their bodies exuded glowing essence. The leader of this group fluttered down and stood next to the wizard. We've cleared the way. Go, do not stop. We can hold them off for so long. The queen is far too powerful for us to take her down. Don't worry. I can handle the queen. The wizard summoned a gale to help him run at amazing speeds away from the gathered warriors. Dashing through the mountains, dodging magic from the lingering fairies among the frozen trees, the wizard ascended to the highest point in the area. With a great leap, he came to an opulent entrance of a marvelous ice castle. This palace of cold stretched across 2 full mountain ridges, its base anchored in a valley deep below. The wizard now walked with confident gait down a long, majestic path. Fairy guards and imposing ice golems watched him the whole way. Oddly, none of them seemed willing to attack, but were poised for the order once it was given. Lifting his hand to open the main doors, a mighty feminine voice called out from the other side. So, it is true. My most loyal has betrayed me. The wizard pushed aside the heavy doors and walked into the luxurious throne room. Seated in a tiny, raised throne was an ice fairy unlike any outside. She was twice as big as any fairy, with amazingly wonderful wings as beautiful as a snowflake. Her gown sparkled bright with hints of blue and silver, dazzling in the gleaming light. The wizard stood strong. Winter Queen, I have come to depose you. How is it that my most faithful general comes to me with threats on this day, this wonderful day, the day I am ready to finally rid the world of any other season? The queen fearlessly mused. You hold too much power, queen. You forget I am not just the general of your grand winter armies. I'm a winter wizard. I'm the master of this season. You're just an ice fairy. You do not have the right to take away my authority. The queen pointed her little wand at him. So, you side with the summer pixies and seek my power. How unfortunate for you. I have no intention of handing my power over to an usurper such as you. I'm the strongest winter creature in all the world. A lowly wizard cannot hope to fight me, though I doubt I would have to lift a finger. I have legions outside my door, right now, ready to cut you down. They would have dispatched with you the moment you set foot here, had I not ordered them to refrain. Then why did you order them to refrain? He continued to move closer. I needed to know where your heart failed. My heart never failed you, the wizard emphatically declared. I gave everything up because of you. Or do you forget who I really am? I am no mere winter wizard. I threw down a mantle greater than you can imagine because of my heart. But you betrayed me. The queen's glare was as cold as her ice palace. I know who you were. But I know that this world needs guidance, leadership, control. Now that your people are gone, it is time for me to step up. I will not allow this. My kind have been left, and I may have given up my own title, but I am still obligated to defend against threats to this world. Defend? Don't try to fool me. There is but one reason you would betray me. You seek power. What did you promise to the summer pixies to get their help? They didn't need convincing. They want you gone as much as I. That's only part of it, but that is the opening of the Winter Wizard Chronicles.
I remember it very well. So if people want to hear a good story about Sherry and I, read The Winter Wizard or The Winter Wizard Chronicles, which is 1 and 2. So, yeah. And if you want to hear more about it, you can watch Dan right after me.
Yeah, I'll be doing some more after this as a live broadcast on my own author page. I do want to say for anybody who's listening to this, starting tomorrow, and I believe going through Sunday, Dragon Wand Book 1 is going to be free on ebook through Amazon. So if you're wanting something to read, and books 2 and 3 in that series will be on discount. So if you're wanting to read, that's a good book to get started, and it's free. But this one is also available. So go on Amazon, pick it up, or download it, and read it. It's not going to be free, but it is available, and it's inexpensive.
Right. Absolutely. Don't forget, people, you can also go to my website. What is my website? Oh, yeah, thebrianshepardshow.com. And if you go to books/authors, all of Daniel's books are up there. Well, a majority of them anyways. I tried to put up as many as I could. If you find a book that you would want to read or purchase, obviously purchase to read, you can just simply click on the cover and it brings you right to the page where you can buy it. So I kind of made it simple and easy for everyone. So along with Dan, Sylvia Schultz's books are up there as well. I'm going to be adding more authors as we go. That I'm trying to remember everyone that we came in contact with. Throw up there. That'd be a lot of books, but slowly but surely. What else do people have to do right now, right? Stay home, read a book, do something. So.
I just noticed that before I started reading, I believe Ashley asked us, do you have any pets to me? Technically, yes. We have a Pomeranian named Ginger, a little spoiled diva, but she kind of owns us, so it's reverse. But so yes, I do have one. I'd have more, but I don't have time. I barely have time to take care of me.
Yep. I wish I had two, but one is just enough right now. So yeah, I feel you on that one. So, all right, folks, that is it. I apologize for coming on Friday, but yesterday was just a screwy day. I'm now back to work. So, but anyways, it still will be the same on Thursdays at 8 o'clock. So I apologize. Thanks for watching.
Yes, very much so. Good viewing.
Thanks for Dan for coming on and talking to us and answering some questions, which was pretty cool. So if you want more of him, go watch him. I'll make sure to share the video as soon as he goes live. So, and yeah, that is it.
Well, I had fun.
Yeah.
If you need me to help you do any more shows, let me know.
Absolutely. So, all right. Goodbye, everyone. Have a fantastic weekend. And I will see you next Thursday right here on Facebook. Oh, and we were live on YouTube, by the way. We're on YouTube, by the way.
Hi, YouTube.
Yeah, hi, YouTube. So, all right. That is it. Goodbye.